Welcome back.
There's nobody here.
52, 50. You see people? 50 episode 52. 52.
Hey, 52.
52 on the other side of Thanksgiving.
Congratulations.
And you're all still here, so that's a good thing. Obviously, Thanksgiving went well. Nobody
gained 7 pounds? No,
gained a couple of pounds, I think.
Nope.
So a little bit too much pumpkin pie, but
nope, not happening here, bro.
oh well.
No, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it was a nice Thanksgiving. My end was very quiet.
Yes,
just 5 of us, not many.
Well, our end wasn't quiet. It was full of people, but it was beautiful. It was a good. It was a good time.
Awesome. And we hope that all your Thanksgiving festivities were pleasant also, and you were mindful, and maybe you listened to the episode before, and maybe you made amends with somebody.
Yeah, right.
And maybe you didn't.
Maybe that prior episode prompted you to do something that you would not have otherwise.
That would be the hope.
And I tell you, I witnessed something like that. Something like that. I witnessed a
sort of,
and I
kind of, sort of.
And I like it. I thought it was good.
That's great.
I thought it was a big step for that person.
Sure, absolutely. And we need more steps like that in this room.
Yeah. You need a 12-step real quick with that thing. A lot of drinking going on.
Yeah. You guys, I don't know if people pay attention, but I drink a ton of water.
Bro.
I just like to drink. I just like to drink. Yeah, it's either usually my coffee, but then I always have a bottle of water just to parch my throat. Anyway, so hope everybody had a nice week, like you said, enjoyed the holiday, and we're back. Yeah. And we're going to continue doing what we usually do.
Yeah.
And I think today, in it's a chapter in the book.
Wait, what book?
This book this guy wrote in front of me. Yeah, that one right there. Yes, that one right there.
The Medieval Times sells it as the universal lens.
It's like we said that before. It's like the voice from we forgot that
Buffer,
lady.
Michael Buffer.
No, God, this is like deja vu. We had the same conversation.
God, the voice of God.
Yeah, like the voice of God.
Sorry, don't get mad at me.
But we're going to talk about the difference between today. What I like to discuss, at least, the difference between wisdom and knowledge, and it's actually a chapter in the book. I don't know what chapter it is, but it's a chapter on page 81. I remember that because I just looked at it. It's a chapter in the book, and there is an inherent difference between wisdom and knowledge, and the words are used so interchangeably that people don't pay attention. Most people, like you're wise, you're knowledgeable, but there is a difference in that, and it all comes down to language, right? One of our biggest topics, one of the biggest reoccurring themes, mindfulness and all that, yes, absolutely, but is the use of language and how we frame that language, which in turn frames the way we see things, our perspective, our awareness, our relationship with thoughts. A lot of it is by the language that we use. So wisdom and knowledge. So what is wisdom and what is knowledge, right? Albert Einstein probably, it was the quote I used in the beginning of the chapter, and I don't know if I remember it exactly.
Knowledge is knowing that the street is one way.
No, so no. No. So I'm gonna read. I want to read it properly. So hold on a second. I'll tell you guys just because I don't want to screw this one up. That's right here. All right. So here it's any fool can know. The point is to understand. Knowledge is realizing that the street is one way. Wisdom is looking in both directions anyway, right? And that was Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein, by the way, was not only a brilliant physicist, but he was a very mindful and aware person. Like he understood. He understood. He had that perspective to use the mind and realize that he wasn't his mind. So for him when he said something like that, that's why I used him. Instead of using a spiritual teacher, like I'm using a world-renowned. The man was a genius, right?
Yep. I mean, when you think you're going to compare somebody that you're smart as...
What's Albert Einstein, right? So to use him and to try to use him as an example as somebody who says, look, this guy understood there was a difference between knowing and wisdom, right? So like he says, to know that the street is one way, right? It's knowledge. but to look both ways anyway is wisdom, right? Knowledge is what we're given, what we're taught, what we absorb, what we learn, which is great. Yeah. Knowledge has given us so much stuff, right? It's given us advancements in technology and medical fields and, writing. I mean, it's amazing knowledge, but knowledge is when knowledge is an attachment to the thinking mind, right? Knowledge comes from the thinking mind.
Yep.
What we think, what we know, when we try to fix an issue or repair something or write something or whatever, we use knowledge that we've learned. But there's an attachment to that if you're not aware. If there's no awareness, those thoughts become your Bible. They become your what's the word I'm looking for?
Your code, your
mantra,
your operating system.
Your operating system. Like, no, this means this. This means this. This means this. The street is one way. Go this way.
Yeah. Why would I bother looking?
Why would I bother looking that way? Wisdom is pulling back and seeing things for not just what we think they are, but for what it actually is. And I've always said wisdom is obtained, knowledge is learned. Right? Knowledge is learned, yes. But wisdom is obtained. Yeah. Wisdom is not something I can't teach you to be wise. Mm-hmm. I could teach you knowledge, but I can't teach you to be wise. Wisdom is something you obtain on your own. Like and honestly, if you have wisdom, you have awareness. You can't have one without the other. They're very
linked.
They're linked together. So you don't have wisdom unless you have awareness, where you're able to see things through a different lens. And whether it's parenting issue or any issue in life, a wise person a person who applies wisdom sees things differently.
I think mindfulness allows you to have wisdom. In other words, it's like opening a door.
Yeah.
And once you open that pathway, wisdom is linked with mindfulness. It's that link. There's a linkage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And unless you experience it, which is that wisdom, because wisdom is also linked to experience,
Yeah, people say you become wise as you get older. Yes.
So unless you experience it, you really think that they're one and the same, but they're not.
But they're not, because experiencing things, you learning stove is hot, don't put my hand on the stove, I'll burn my hand, right? I'm not really wise. You could say you're wiser for it. And a lot of it is, honestly, I think it's just language and how we use words. But in what we're talking about here, wisdom is more of a higher intelligence, looking at things not by what you've been programmed to think or what you think you know, but by actually pulling back and seeing yourself thinking about these things and realizing like that quote says, hey, the street is just one way, but hold on a second. Let me look both ways anyway. Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can take this example and you can plug it into almost any facet of your life. And Absolutely. Like, for example, you find yourself in a boardroom. If you're ever in a boardroom, and I think I know you've been in a boardroom. Okay. I have been in a boardroom, but my first few times in a boardroom were quite special because I knew the knowledge. I just didn't have the wisdom.
Yeah.
And if that resonates, which it did, then you know what I mean. So I was a young buck. I knew my stuff. I knew knowledge.
Yeah.
I just didn't have wisdom at that moment. So there I am in a boardroom spitting out my non-wisdom. I had knowledge, and everybody there can see that I had knowledge, but I didn't have wisdom. And wisdom would be knowing when to talk. Wisdom would be, does that ring a bell?
Yeah, sure.
So wisdom in the boardroom is knowing when to talk. Well, guess what? It also is good in a marriage. It also is good in parenthood.
That's great.
It also is good in relationships with any situation. Wisdom will be a good guide. And just like mindfulness, it prepares the turf for wisdom to guide. That's not knowledge. You could be knowledgeable. You can see, well, if you put this header here and you put that beam over there, and if
that's all. Yeah, that's knowledge. That's all knowing things, right? Knowing things is a lot different.
But that wisdom, it's just like mindfulness itself. You have a hard time describing it because our words don't do it justice.
No, because wisdom is the ability to see yourself thinking and realize I don't have to, even though my mind is saying all these things, it's a pulling back and you get a broader perspective and you get a wide angle view. So instead of having just this close up of, okay, this is what it is, what I'm going to say, I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about this, talk about this, I'm going to talk about this. But like you're saying in the boardroom, wisdom is being able to pull back, read the room, see what you want to say.
Read the room, know your audience.
Right? That's wisdom, but that only comes with a certain level of awareness. So you can't be, if you have zero awareness and you're attached to your thinking mind, meaning everything I think, and you have a lot of people who say, well, no, but I'm a wise person. I've experienced a lot of things in life. Like, you've experienced a lot of things and you have a lot more knowledge because of those experiences. But are you wise? Are you any wiser for them? Meaning, you've learned not to do this because that's what happens. That's knowledge. I learned to do this. I do this, this happens. I do this, this happens. I do this, this happens. I do that, that happens, right? That's all knowledge. I learn, if I do this, if I drop this class, or if I do this in school, or if I take that job instead of that job, or if I steal the money from that person, or if I, like, all the stupid shit, like, that's knowledge. That's not wisdom. Wisdom is realize, when you have wisdom, you have that awareness to realize what you're doing before you're actually doing it, right? Being able to see what's happening and realize I don't have to just believe what my mind is saying exactly at this moment. It's not only about what I know, it's also about what I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Do you get that? Do you understand? It's not just about what I know, it's also about what I don't know. And that what I don't know is where wisdom kind of kicks in, where you kind of unlock another level to say, okay, wait, I know all this, but what don't I know that I need to maybe look at things a little bit differently?
It just struck me just now, why Albert Einstein is that special. And I'm going to tell you why.
He was a very quirky person, too, in general.
He was. And
yeah.
Let me tell you something. I'll tell you this later. I don't want to get off on a tangent. But I think that Albert Einstein was obviously high IQ, right, as you would say. Obviously a learned person.
Yes.
Right? An educated person.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think the sixth gear that he had, that most geniuses did not have, was the awareness.
Yes.
And so, in other words, I think that we meet geniuses every day in terms of intelligence. But there's another higher intelligence, which is this awareness, that when you have both, it's something unreal, because you don't usually see the awareness aspect in humans in general. What percentage of the population do you think walks around aware, mindful?
Some
of them,
yeah,
very small.
Right now, I think it's still a small percentage.
Single digits.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to quantify that, but it's
that's what it feels like.
That's what it feels like. Yeah.
But now you take a guy with his intelligence, and he's aware. He's in tune. Like, he is aware.
He's aware.
That puts him in the sixth gear that not most transmissions have.
Because that's now a person who has a phenomenal tool up in his head, but knows how to use it properly. Not just to use it. Look, the mind, here, knowledge is building the atom bomb. Wisdom is realizing we don't ever want to use it.
Right.
Knowledge is building the bomb. That's knowledge. Right? Knowledge is a smart person. I'm going to build an atom bomb. And I use that just as an example because
it happens.
It happens, right? Wisdom would be not ever using it. Wisdom will probably be, watch this even better. I'm going to reframe that. Knowledge is knowing I could build the atom bomb. Wisdom is never building it at all. Knowledge is knowing I can, knowing how to. Wisdom is never building it at all, because you realize that building that only does what?
Opens the door to destruction.
Opens a Pandora's box, right? Which is kind of what happened when we did it.
But
look, this isn't the history lesson.
But this is okay, because there's a theory of mutual destruction. In other words, if we have an atomic bomb here, if I bomb John, well, I know Julia's going to bomb me.
It's like War Games with Matthew Broderick, remember?
So if
plays all the scenarios, nobody wins.
If I bomb John, Julia's going to bomb me. Yeah. And if Julia bombs me, Erica's going to bomb Julia. So it's mutually assured destruction. So the fact that we all have a bomb, we're not going to use it because we understand what that implies.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it. Very simple. Yeah, but if you're Einstein, you know somebody's going to develop a bomb. So I want it to be us.
Oh yeah, but so I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. But
I put a little hair on that.
Yeah, like hair. Yeah. What I was trying to say was just to make a distinction between knowledge. Knowledge is having the know-how to be able to do it. But wisdom is realizing we should never do it.
No, because the minute you introduce this thing.
Exactly. So there's a difference. Yeah. Like knowledge, you could create anything. Yeah. Right? It's wisdom is a knowing, not of knowledge, a higher knowing to know just because I can do this doesn't mean we should do this. Oh, yeah. Right? And I think that's why I kind of personally like that example, because it's something that's very, very destructive that we can create. And yet at the same time, we know that once we create it, we open up Pandora's box to all. Yeah. So, I mean, and I think that's what wisdom is, right? Wisdom is, and like I said, the example is, I want the example to be a little polarizing just so you kind of see the difference. Like knowledge is this, wisdom is that. Wisdom has nothing to do with how to build it. Wisdom is knowing that, hey, maybe we should never do this, right? And you can interchange that with anything else, right? Knowledge is, okay, well, I'm a parent and I'm going through these things with my kid or whatever, my wife or whoever it might be, right? Or whatever the situation might be, is okay. Knowing this, I know that, I know that. Wisdom is saying, being in the moment and realizing, even though I know all these things, if this person doesn't want to hear this from me right now, right. Wisdom is knowing I have nothing to say right now. Right. That's wisdom, right? Knowledge is, well, but honey, I know better. You should never blah, 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 or you blah, 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 or to your mother or to your father or to your kids, whoever it might be, right? But that, you don't realize it, that. But if the person on the end isn't receptive to what you're saying right now, wisdom is knowing that I'm not getting through to you like that. So for me, just to spew my knowledge is going to be pointless. Wisdom is being able to say, see it and go, even though I know what's going to happen or I kind of can script this for you, you're not ready to hear this from me. There's nothing I can say right now.
Yep.
That's wisdom. But you only have that ability to see that if you have awareness, if you're a mindful person, if you're a conscious person. That's where that kind of kicks in. And people who are like that are people who, like Albert Einstein, right, have this great mind, but kind of know how to apply it properly.
He had that extra gear.
Yeah, know how to apply that properly, right? Just because I could do something makes me a knowledgeable person, but you want to be a wise. That's why a lot of these old sages and spiritual teachers, they're very wise people. It's not based on how much knowledge they have. It's how they see the world, how they see life, how they see situations, how they see people, how they see conversations, how they see interactions. It's on a different level. They're watching it, and then they make a decision based on that. Instead of just saying, but I know. No, but I know. Come on, I know. You listen to me? I know. I have a plethora of knowledge. I've been told I have a plethora of useless knowledge also. I'm one of those guys.
Yeah. No.
How do you know that? I don't know. I just have a lot of
I can't help but think of a few people in my life who are super smart. Super smart. Like if I plug them into any Ivy League, like honestly, they got away from the Ivy League. That's how
you're talking about me.
That's how smart they are. But they don't have the wisdom.
Oh yeah. Just because you're smart, just because you're IQ smart, that's great. But
and the people I'm thinking about, like literally, and I don't say this was self-deprecating. I'm being honest. Like I'm not the sharpest knife. I'm not the stupidest guy in the room. But
I'm no knowledgeable genius, right?
I'm not. That's not me. But you take the little bit of knowledge that I do have, and you add the little bit of wisdom that I have. It's a good package.
I don't think wisdom is little or a lot. I think wisdom is
you have it. Or you
it's
don't.
a knowing. Yeah, it's just it's applicable to everything. When you're a wise person, if you have wisdom isn't. I don't think there's a metric that says, well, let's see how wise you are. What do you know? That's knowledge. It's knowledge again. You want to IQ test me? That's knowledge. Let's IQ test me. I don't know how good I'm going to do, but let's IQ test me. That's knowledge. How wise are you? I don't think there's no metric for wise. The metric for wise is it's like I said, that ability to see things differently, that ability to watch the mind as it works and realize when it's not advisable to listen to the mind. Most people think,
that's good,
hear, believe.
That's good.
My mind said this, so it must be right.
That's good.
My mind said this, so it must be right. Wisdom is being able to say, which is why I know it's the same. It's the same thing it sounds like it's the same thing every week, but we just change it. But that's the whole point of this.
But that was good. When it's advisable to not listen to your mind.
And that's wisdom. I know how to build a bomb. That's great. Wisdom. And the wisdom is the other voice it's this, not even a voice, it's this watcher. It's the watcher, our conscious mind that looks and goes, and all that comes to your mind was, but we really shouldn't build it. That's wisdom. Now, how many people actually listen to the wisdom? Right? I'm gonna and we'll change the word from wisdom to intuition. That voice, that soft voice that pushes you in a certain way. That is what kind of wisdom is. Like, okay, it's a one-way street, and then this little voice goes, but look both ways.
Interesting.
Look both ways. Look both. But it's a one-way street. Why would I look that way? Oh shit, somebody's coming down the wrong way. Look both ways. Right? It's there's no script. It's not like, oh, wisdom's here telling you all these different things. And this is my interpretation of it. Right? You could talk to 10 people, and 10 people might give you 10 different descriptions of what they think wisdom is. But from what from spiritual teachers I followed, from things I've kind of gathered in my life, and there is that inherent difference, right? Wisdom is for me like an intuition, like that soft voice. It's that it just kind of says, hey, maybe that's not such a great idea, right? And while your mind is barking, well, it's a fucking great idea. This is awesome. How could this be? How could this go wrong? I know everything is. You know what? I got it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. I have all this knowledge. But it's like a runaway train. Sometimes knowledge could be. It just goes. If there's nobody there to keep an eye on it, eventually the train gets derailed.
I've been married for 20 years, and I've been together with my wife for 27.
Okay.
I've developed enough wisdom.
To
know that in my mind, I know what I want to say, but wisdom tells me, take the quiet route. It's going to go further. And that's wisdom. That you can't learn.
Yeah, no, you can't. And listen, maybe, I don't know if people were expecting to hear some some very intricate description of what it is, or
no,
but it's not, because it's really not that. Wisdom is the ability to.
But I'm gonna say it's a feature in the awareness realm. In other words,
I want to see something. Yeah,
you're going to experience.
I know. I have to. I go back to my own book. Isn't that sad?
You're going to experience wisdom in the awareness realm. Okay, mindfulness and awareness allow you to experience wisdom. It's not that it makes you a wise person. Like, you're not a sage, but you definitely learn new skills.
Yeah. So look, I'm reading from my own book. How funny is this? Because I didn't memorize it. I'm sorry. So this is what we just were saying, right? So knowing the difference between the two is important. We get so caught up in knowing things and learning things that we become very attached to the thinking mind. We follow it without awareness. Wisdom is the understanding where the awareness comes in. We can see thoughts and knowledge for what they are, helpful tools while keeping a higher alertness to their limitations. That's probably a better way to say it. We can teach knowledge all day, every day, but if we don't have that awareness, that very knowledge can become a detriment, right? It can keep us engaged in doing that we lose the being. If we become so thirsty for knowledge, it becomes an addiction to keep us in the future while sacrificing the present moment. I mean, that's a different angle on it too.
Yeah,
where getting caught up in the I need to know more. 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 What is that? What that keeps you engaged in this? And there's nothing wrong with absorbing more knowledge. Don't get me wrong. It's beautiful. That's what we should be doing with our minds. It's great to have all this knowledge, but without that awareness, you're on autopilot. I just need to know more. I need to know more. I need to know more.
You're just a fact collector. You're not a...
Yeah. And again, I said this is why. I say, look, if anybody out there read my book, and I know like somebody actually posted something on Facebook, they were in the middle of the book and they were gonna, I guess, get back to me or when they were done with it. It's you see that I give different examples, and this is what we've been doing on the show for 52 episodes. We give different examples of how mindfulness kind of infiltrates everywhere in life.
Yep.
Right? Between words we use, wisdom, and it's all language, but how it infiltrates into everything, even, and if we don't realize it, you won't know the difference between knowledge. Like people go up, I'm a wise person. I know so much. Oh, you're knowledgeable. You're smart. You're uber intelligent. Well, wisdom has nothing to do with that. Wisdom it's like joy and happiness, right? Happiness is, I'm happy. I'm a happy person. I love being happy. I'm happy. Joy is different. Joy is not something you get addicted to. Joy, happiness is an addiction.
A sugar rush.
It's a sugar rush, right? Joy isn't. Joy is a deeper understanding of something. Joy is an appreciation for something, right? Knowledge could be very addicting. I need to know more. I need to know more. Wisdom is the ability to see that knowledge for what it is, right? And not get attached to it. So, and that's why, like, there's all these similarities. And every week we kind of bring up a different one, because that's the point, is to show people different entry points into this.
It's always the same. We said it last time. It's the same spinal cord. It's just different vertebrae.
Yeah, and this is another one.
That jut out from the spinal cord.
Yeah.
Like, literally, this precise lesson is what I experienced these past few days, you know? Like, because, again, you're with people you may not see often. All of a sudden, now you're with them for more time, and you know, there's conversations that can come up. And in my case, let's say, you know, parenting, you know, it allows you to be a more aware parent. I almost said thoughtful, but it's aware. Because
6 of one, half dozen the other.
Aware. Like, you're more aware as a parent, and you understand lessons. It's almost like somebody put 50 more years of experience in you just for the simple fact that you're aware. It's hard to explain. It's a very bad explanation, but you know, it's
a tricky thing to explain sometimes.
Yeah, it's like let me give you the examples. So if I had a difference of opinion with my child, who's not a child, he's a grown ass man. So if I have a difference of opinion, an unaware parent would just hammer their opinion further,
their knowledge
further,
shove it down your throat.
And then that young buck is hammering his knowledge. You follow me? And that goes coupled with a little bit of attitude,
hormones, right? And machismo,
and so
testosterone. That's what I was looking for.
As a parent, where do you get? You get to nowhere good.
No,
but kick in awareness. You're from the minute you start talking, you're aware. So you're also aware that the young buck in front of you is not aware. So you have to handle it differently. And wisdom kind of...
Well, that's when people say, wow, Henry, that was a very wise approach you took. Just to say, right? Let's say somebody was there with you, or whoever this person was you were talking to, and there was somebody, a third party there. And that third party is kind of, you know, in tune with, you know, with their mind and mindfulness and awareness, and they have a conscious, they're very a conscious person. They'd be like, they'd look at you and be like, hey, Henry, I tell you, that was a very wise approach you just took. Wise approach, not a very knowledgeable approach. Knowledgeable approach means, oh, it's okay, you know this, and that was which you can take a knowledgeable approach. I'm not saying you can't. But when somebody would say that's a very wise approach, it means that wasn't just using the knowledge, it was using the knowledge properly. It was using the knowledge you have in the best manner possible. Not just using the knowledge you have, right? It's like, I could have a hammer and I could use it. I have a hammer. Here's my hammer. Somebody gave me a hammer. Use it. Okay. And I could break shit and jam I've done this growing up. I mean, I'm a contractor, right? I was a contractor. I'm a contractor, whatever. I don't know. And you know, when I was a kid, you know, you started working with these tools originally as a kid. You know, you're holding shit the wrong way. There goes thumb, there goes hammer, black thumb.
You're gonna hammer a few.
I had a few of those growing up as a kid, right? Yeah, okay. That's so that's being wise is saying, okay, hold on a second. It's not just I have a tool, but I want to use this tool properly when it's needed the right way, not everywhere. I don't need the, I got to fix the sink. I'm not going to use a hammer, right? I'm going to use the proper tool. So knowledge and wisdom is kind of the same thing. Somebody tells you, hey, Henry, that was a very wise approach you took. That's like for me, that's a great compliment because that's somebody telling you, dude, you saw this, you read the room, right? To use something that maybe everybody can relate to. You read the room and you took the proper approach to that room. You didn't just want to say what you had to say, what you felt you had to say. Because as human beings, we tend to do that. People tend to want to do that. Let me tell you what I've went through. Let me tell you my experiences. Let me tell you what you need to know. It's not just about that. Well, that can be very, very useful. Don't get me wrong, but it's not just about that. It's also about realizing that you have this sixth gear, as you said, right? This higher intelligence that says, this isn't the time. You're not ready to hear this yet. Maybe when you burn your hand, or maybe when whatever, there'll be a point where you're going to be receptive, and I'm going to know when you're receptive. That's wisdom. So it's like, I'm trying to talk to my kids, or I'm trying to talk to my wife, or I'm trying to talk to my parents about something. If they're not receptive, I get silent. Because or else, what am I doing? I'm just spewing knowledge that they're not listening to. And that's like pissing in the wind, right? It's going to come back and it's going to hit me. Oh, why am I going to, why would I do that? No, instead, the wise person, the person who has that awareness is going to go, this is nor the time nor the place for me to open my mouth and spew some knowledge on you because there is no reception on that end yet right now. And with silence, sometimes that person comes along a lot quicker than because usually when you spew knowledge, what do they want to do? Like you said before.
It's counter.
Yeah, it's volley. It's like Pong. You ever play Pong when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Pong, Pong, that game. That's all it is. I hit it to you, you hit it back to me. I hit it to you.
Yeah. And that's why I mentioned that example of the boardroom. Like if you've been in a boardroom, and never mind, take yourself out of the boardroom.
Any kind of high-powered meeting.
Any interaction. So right now, again, this awareness thing is something that, has been slowly evolving with me. But the longer I am in it, I can't explain it. The longer I'm in it, the more you feel that you can.
The more you're practicing,
right? Like the more aware you are. So here I am. I'm tiptoeing in a new field, a new field of business, and I'm having these different. By the way, I'm enjoying my different interactions with people.
It's great.
It's awesome. A different realm. It's a different thing. Awesome. I've stepped out of my comfort zone, and I'm in a whole new area.
That's great.
And this is what I'm learning. So how is this mindfulness and awareness helping me? I'm going to tell you how. Because we do this show, and we have this banter, right? This back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go into a new field and you're talking to somebody who knows more than you about the field,
more knowledge about it, sure,
more knowledge, you can pick up their level of awareness. It's hard to explain.
No, I get it. Yeah.
And a lot of your wisdom kicks in when you allow that person to explain their knowledge. If you, by any chance, start trying to give your knowledge, it's friendly, but let me tell you, this happened to me. You're not going to be able to. They're busy giving you knowledge. Your wisdom is telling you, speak.
Yeah, sure.
And that's wisdom.
But knowing the difference. But that's the wisdom.
You wouldn't know it. Right.
Knowing
the difference. There you go. You wouldn't know it unless you were aware.
Yeah.
But you're aware, so you can detect the difference. The moment that you should be quiet, the moment that you should not, the moment that you should. I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference.
So it does. 1,000%. So if anybody in any of your lives, if you have anybody like this, you'll be able to pick out a person who is a wise person just by that's a great example. If you're talking to somebody and I'm having a conversation with somebody and normal conversation, maybe they ask me a question about something, so I'm giving them some knowledge because they ask me, hey John, how do you do this? Whatever. And I thought, oh, well, okay, so this is what I did, blah, 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 and I did this, and then blah, 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 blah. And the person, within 10 seconds of me talking, goes, yeah, no, you know what? You're right. When I did this, and I know that when I was a kid, they taught me this. And so you don't want to, so all you want to do is spew knowledge back. The wise person is going to be like, okay, so if I ask you, hey, Henry, how do you do this? So, okay. I let you continue talking, get your thought out, and then if there's something for me to add, I add it. That's how you know if somebody has any awareness, because the need, and actually we're learning here, great. It's amazing how this kind of parlays right into this. So I mentioned that I'm taking life coaching classes, right, to become a certified life coach and a certified spiritual life coach. So I could do both, same thing but different flavors.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the things we're kind of learning about is learning not to be a fixer, right? You know what a fixer is?
Sure. I need to fix your problem.
Yes. It means you tell me something and right away I talk right back. I'm spewing what at you?
Knowledge. The knowledge, yeah.
The wise person is somebody who has wisdom in their lives, right? Sees that person talking and instead doesn't want to fix their problem, but tries to help them fix it themselves by guiding them, not telling them what to do. We're going to guide you. We're not going to tell you, because I could tell you shit all day long, but unless you hear it out of your own fucking head, most times you're not going to want. It's not going to resonate with you. When you go, oh, now that anchored me because my brain came up with it. We could throw hints as a spiritual teacher or a life coach, whatever you want to call it,
no doubt,
or even therapists, they do the same thing. Therapists use wisdom, they use knowledge, but they allow you to come to the conclusion. And why? Because if they're just trying to fix you, they're just spewing knowledge. I was told once by Dr. Tatiana, and I asked her this question. I said, I get the whole therapy thing and the tools. I go, but when you're talking to somebody, right away she looked at me and she goes, there's an art to that. She goes, there's an art to know when to speak and when not to speak. She goes, that's the art of it. And that's kind of where, and that art she's talking about is an awareness, a higher awareness to hear the person, allow that. And look, I get there's a lot of training that goes into that also, but just to kind of make a similarity, to show, kind of give you a reference, what she was trying to kind of say is it's the ability to know when to speak and when not to speak. And you only have that if you're not trying to fix. If you're watching yourself think and knowing the difference and knowing when to or when not to, knowing the difference between I have knowledge, but this person doesn't need to hear the knowledge. They need to get to that point themselves. That's what kind of wisdom is. I know, like, this word wisdom has this like magical thing around it, like wise. You think of like a guru or a Merlin or some wizard or some guy with a white beard, or wise people. You're a wise old sage. I know a lot of people who are old and smart and have a shitload of knowledge, but they're not exactly wise.
No,
they're not exactly wise. Wisdom is something completely different. Like I said before, I don't think there's a metric for it. Like, you can't say, well, you're a level 2 wise person, you're a level 3 wise person, you're a level 5. No, you're either, like we said, you're either aware or you're not aware. You're not kind of aware. You could teeter back and forth a little bit, but you're not kind of aware. You're either aware and you keep practicing it and that awareness becomes sharper, or you're not aware. So it's not like, well, you've actually said this before, I'm like a level, and I've always said, no, there's no levels. Forget about the fucking levels.
I'm just giving you what it feels like.
Yeah, right. It's not, but the point is, there's no levels, and it's the same thing with this. Wisdom is something that you obtain through awareness. You obtain through consciousness. It's something that you see things just completely differently, while having that knowledge. So you put knowledge with awareness, knowledge with wisdom. You get Albert. You get a guy like Einstein,
right?
Yeah, right. I mean,
right.
You get a guy like that.
I mean, there's so much because there's been geniuses. I mean, Albert Einstein, I don't think was the smartest guy.
I don't know.
In terms of knowledge, but I think yes, he was a special brain. But there was this extra gear. And I think that awareness was the extra gear. Now, did he ever talk about awareness in isolation? I'm not aware.
No, so he
no pun intended.
So he might have. I mean,
I would love to hear what you have to say.
I would he might have. I know he's always kind of in a lot of, if you read a lot of his quotes and stuff, it kind of dances around it.
My God, I hope I find it. Hold on.
Like he dances, he'll dance around it, but he doesn't. I don't know if he did, and if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. I'm not sure, and I'll actually look it up after the show. If he ever actually came out and spoke about mindfulness or awareness specifically, I don't think he ever did.
Yeah, no.
What are you looking for?
There was a quote that I had picked out. It was an Einstein quote.
Yeah.
And I sent it to my family because it was so good. This is an Einstein quote. And listen to this. I mean, tell me this doesn't signal that he was on the same page as we are. Everything is energy, and that is all there is to it.
Right there. You could stop there. I get it. Yeah.
Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. So like he intertwines everything. Like I don't think you would say that, because, for example, the first, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Now, anybody who's a learner is going to say, "What does that mean? He's thinking energy, electricity, or energy, some sort of fuel source."
So here was one from 2010. It was in the Princeton University Press. A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts, and his feelings as something separate from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of consciousness. So it's that. So he I guess we answered our own question by doing a little Google search. He actually has put other quotes out there and written maybe articles about it and spoken about this. While he might not come out and say the word mindfulness or spirituality, I don't think he, like, because being a scientific mind, but like he has, as we just read, made the connection between between two. What's the other the famous he's a famous physicist nowadays. Oh, super popular.
Oh, Jordan Peterson.
No, not Jordan Peterson. I know Dr. Jordan Peterson. No. Oh, he's got a mustache. He's crap. What's his name? He's like an astrophysicist or something, isn't he?
Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse?
DeGrasse. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson. There's an E after the grass.
It's not
grassy.
Yeah. So he speaks a lot. Like he's another one who kind of. What was it? Let me drop something. Okay. Probably. Sorry about that.
It sounded like really bad, like a bad thunder.
No, somebody might be dragging something upstairs. He has actually spoken about also like how we're made up of the same things the universe is made up in. So we are one with the universe. So these scientists have to have not just the knowledge of what an atom is or what is or what physics is or but also an awareness to realize how things are connected with each other.
Yeah.
And to realize that we don't maybe know everything. And there still is a question mark, we don't know, X factor.
Yeah, ignoring it is not doing yourself a service. So, which is like what I told you. I watched that financial guy that I was somewhat, say, in tune with. I was hooked up with this financial guy, and he was giving a seminar on wealth building, and he was explaining the steps of wealth and wealth building and how to diversify assets and how to make a plan, blah, 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 all the usual.
Yeah.
He said, I take a moment here. And he says, you might look at me strange. He says, you might look at me, and he used the word woo-woo aspect to this, but there is. And now it's like the room is like, what are you talking about? Well, there's another layer where, that this reality is subjective, right? Everyone's like, what the hell's going on here? He goes, yes, there is a universe. There is a universal law. And he starts talking about love, and he starts talking about, different appreciation and gratitude. It's like, what? This is wealth building, right? Yes, it is. So it all kind of relates back, and the more you ignore the mindful or awareness aspect, the less you're getting out of your knowledge, the less you're getting out of your life.
100%.
Right? So it's almost like this is our sixth gear. So whatever it is that we were doing, we can now apply a mindful awareness lens, a filter, and this puts you in that sixth gear. It's going to help you. We talked about affirmations. Well, affirmation isn't just, hey, send me $1 million. No, affirmation is, I'm grateful for what I have. I would like $1 million. I do affirm I would, but I need to be at peace with what I have now. I need to love what I have now. I need to love, my brother. I need to, and all these things that help you put in a place where it gives you that lens where you can possibly find your $1 million or obtain or get to or earn your $1 million. But by just sitting here, saying, hey, I know the theory of relativity. I know it. Okay, great. Good for you, But it's that wisdom, it's that mindfulness, it's that sixth gear that really...
Well, that's what makes guys like Albert Einstein so special. Right. That's what makes a mind like his so special, because not only was he
had the natural...
Not only did he have the knowledge and the ability to obtain that knowledge because he had a great mind, but he also had that, that awareness to be able to see that for what it was. And because of that, he was able to apply it even better than he ever would have been if he didn't have it.
And how...
And probably not just, maybe better is not the word, more productively, like for everybody, for the world.
And how you're in your soon-to-be practice, you were saying how, collecting money from people is just something that feels icky.
Yeah, but it's still a block. It's still a block that I have.
But
a lot of people probably look at me like, "What the fuck's wrong with you, bro?"
But that will determine their commitment.
Yes, I agree, and I know that. I understand that. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this in there with the same vein. Okay. In other words, if you add this level of awareness, mindfulness to your life, you could take it into the professional realm, and I guarantee you will see better results, better financial results. It's going to put you in a different place with the people you work with, the people you work for, even if you work for yourself, even if you work for somebody else. In every respect, your experience will be heightened, and you can only benefit. Trust me when I tell you, your wisdom will elevate. It will come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you're dealing with the superior, that guy who has the key to your raise, or that guy who has the key to putting in a good word for your raise, or whatever this case may be. But you're no longer in that, let's say, phase one situation. Now you are more complete. You're more a complete package. And I think the reason I mentioned it is because I want to sell it to you. The reason you're going to collect payment is because you want that person committed to it, to doing it, so that that person can improve. Same reason. So I match it to the financial benefit, because that's what's going to move people. It's unfortunate, but if that gets you going, let it get you going. Let that get you going.
Yeah, no,
and then the rest will click. The rest will click. Your relationships will improve. Outside of work, inside of work.
100% agreed.
Everything starts to click. Everything starts to improve. And the minute those improve, you know what happens as a result? You feel a little bit better about yourself, and that is key. So when you feel better about yourself, that's just crazy good, because most of us walk around feeling less than. Especially today, if you watch Instagram or Facebook, you feel less than. Trust me.
Oh, I mean, I think that's a natural reaction a lot of people are going to have because of the way it's portrayed social media. Yeah.
So I know this episode is about wisdom versus knowledge.
But that plays into this too.
Absolutely. It's all part of the same, the spinal cord.
So knowledge is knowing that like we're on Facebook, right? The Universal Lens on Facebook. I'm on Facebook personally, but all I do is post Universal Lens stuff on it. And I'm on Instagram, Universal Lens. Wisdom is knowing, wisdom is knowledge is, okay, I know how to use it. I know how to post. I got to post this. I got to post that. But wisdom is realizing that what I read, what I might see on there is not to be taken.
Perfect.
Yes. Right. It's not, it's only, it's to be, it's to be looked at. It's to be looked at, read, maybe if you're following somebody, and then, okay, back away from it. Don't follow the rabbit. Don't follow your mind into a rabbit hole too wide. And because listen, my mind wants to do that from time to time too. Wow, how is this person so successful, and why can't I get 10 people to listen? Why is this person, and why can't I do this? And why is this person, and why? Because that's what's going to happen. So instead, I just started saying, because I do the posting for Instagram, I'm going to post it, go, and that's it. If somebody likes it, that's great. Somebody comments on it, beautiful. They want to know something, I'll answer it. They don't, whatever. And I leave it there, and I let it be. I can only control so much of that, right? So with social media, that's how you use it with wisdom, and not just say, well, I got to, in order to get 1,000 likes, I got to do this, I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I got to do this, because that can be exhausting. It can be completely exhausting, right? So,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, wisdom is knowing
the difference.
Don't look at Twitter. I used to look at Twitter. X. I used to have X ringing because I want to know what this guy's saying. This guy's saying. I want to know what 17 people are saying. So 17 people say a lot. So bing, 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 bing. My phone would be binging, binging, and I would be like, oh. I was well informed, but I wasn't.
You had a shitload of knowledge,
right? I was well informed, but I wasn't wiser for it.
No. If anything, you were more distracted. I was more engrossed.
Torn apart because, trust me, the woes of the world are out there. They're out there. It's not like I don't ignore them, but I don't need it shoved in my face. Bing, 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 bing. If I count the rings, you're talking about 87 rings in one day. I don't need it. I know that Palestine and Israel are beefing. I got it. I know what we're doing. I got it. But if I consume myself with that, then my business of life isn't carrying for it. My life business.
Sure, it gets your life gets disrupted completely because of it, because now your attention's getting shifted to other places where it has no need to be, and wisdom will allow you to navigate that stuff properly, to use it properly, not to get lost in a world of.
I told you the Chinese spy balloon. when
I remember when you told me that story. It was on an episode.
My anxiety went through the roof because of Chinese spy. And you're like, really? Yeah, because I was thinking the worst. I was already going there. I was going there.
You believed the story in your head that happened in your head, and your body reacted to a story in your head. By the way, none of which was actually happening or fact in that matter of fact. It wasn't even a fact. You created a story off of an event, and your body responded to that story. Isn't that amazing? How your body responded to a false story in your mind. And this is, I know we've kind of strayed away a little bit from what we're talking about. But isn't it funny how if I put another story in my mind, and this is not about thought replacement, because I know if anybody's listening out there who's kind of into awareness or anxiety and stuff like that, this isn't thought replacement. Because thought replacement is something else. People who experience obsessive compulsive disorder or anxiety, thought replacement does not work. Mm-hmm. Because your mind's going to revert back to, but what if? That's where you learn to live with the what if, and you drop it there, right? There's a big difference there. So this isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of mind. That's why I've always said, like, certain things that Dr. Joe talks about works for certain people. Right. For certain people, it's not going to mesh because their wires don't work that way. And until they, I don't say repair, but until they form new neural pathways, that could be more of a detriment to them than anything else. But like if I project a different scenario in my head, right? How my body could start to react to that scenario also, right? Your body's gonna, if your body responds to what you think sometimes, right? It's just the way it works.
Well, that's why Bob Proctor with me resonated so much, because I heard him say it, which, by the way, many people say it.
We use a couple people just
right,
because they're
in
relatable
different
names.
ways, but
and they're also relatable names.
He drew a picture. It was great. And have you ever seen the picture he draws? But he drew a picture which he draws the circle of the head split up by a line. He says, this is the conscious, this is the subconscious. He goes, do you know that the subconscious tells the body what to do? But it all comes from the subconscious. Did you program your conscious? Chances are you didn't program it. Chances are you're a product of your environment.
Yeah.
As we all are. But what if we choose our environment? What if we choose the inputs? Then that will move up to the conscious, and then that will guide our body.
Well, that's sure. That's the if you change the environment, that's what people say. If you hang out with those people, you become like those people.
Yes.
Whatever those people might be.
Yes. You are the average of the 5 people.
Yeah.
Yes. So imagine that you decide no more news, no more 87 pings. Well, so what are you putting in? I'm putting in this beautiful Joe Dispenza.
Whatever you're putting in,
whatever it is,
mindfulness practices.
I'm putting in a lot of episodes of the Universal Lens.
Yes,
that's what I want to put in. Honestly, do it, try it, and you'll see that if you stick with a certain plan, let's say, meditate with us at the end of every episode, you have a guided meditation. If you don't feel comfortable meditating, just fast forward, go right to the end, which is ironic because I'm sure people do the opposite. They sit through the episode, therefore click off the end. Don't do that. So do that. Do a guided meditation every day. Tell me if you're monitoring your inputs, you're monitoring what you want to give attention to, you're meditating. It won't be long before you realize, man, wow, I can actually have some control over my like what I cling on to and what I don't cling on to. What? Really? Yeah, you do. And that's wisdom. Because you'll feel the wisdom. You'll feel it. You have no choice but to feel it because you're different.
It's wisdom is a higher knowing.
You're different for it.
Yeah, it's a higher knowing. It's just a higher knowing. No, that was well said. That was well said.
John,
well
click
said.
The applause. This has been a great audience. You turn
around and you see a bunch of blow up though.
Why are they all looking at me like this?
Man. But yeah, so I mean, to kind of sum it all up, just because you know, doesn't mean you really know. It doesn't know. Just because you think you know doesn't mean you know what's best.
Yeah, and
knowledge is great.
Yeah,
knowledge is great, and
we should always seek knowledge.
Always seek knowledge, but if you're just seeking knowledge to seek knowledge, if you're not doing it with any kind of awareness or consciousness, you will get lost in a world of seeking, in a world of absorbing, in a world of more. I need to know, and that's great. You have all this knowledge, but you tend to not apply it properly if you don't have any wisdom. If you're not applying wisdom with it, well, which is, I guess, like we said before, wisdom is nothing more than just consciousness and awareness.
Well, I'll tell you like this: you can add fuel to your knowledge fire by being aware. If you have that much knowledge, again, I'm not going to compare your knowledge to Einstein's knowledge, but you very well could be just as smart as Einstein or anywhere near. Add the awareness, mindfulness aspect onto your knowledge. You're going to be, it's fuel to fire. It's fuel to fire because you're going to know how and when to use that knowledge. You're not going to be an M16 of knowledge.
Yeah, just spewing around. Yeah.
You will be an atomic bomb. You like that? You will be an atomic bomb of knowledge because you'll know the knowledge and when to use it and how to use it.
How to use it properly.
Which is the ultimate weapon.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's
to stick with my war.
It's I know you'll have to go there. You'll have to go there. Yeah. So I mean, if you've taken anything from today's episode, hopefully you kind of see the difference now between just knowing things and then knowing things and when to apply that knowing or that knowledge, or when not to apply that knowledge, or how to, or what's the best way to apply that knowledge. And that's kind of what wisdom is. So there is a difference. So next time somebody uses the word wisdom, and people, like we said before, people tend to use it kind of.
Yeah, it's become, what is it? Like, it's an everyday word.
It's an everyday word. Yeah.
That's used.
It's very, but there is an inherent difference, and that's one of the things, and that's probably, if you've read my book or if you follow us, you'll see that language is, for me in the beginning, like language was huge. It was a very big catalyst for me, like learning the difference in the words we use, like react, respond, right? These are the things that I kind of wrote about. People don't realize that we use those words so interchangeably, but there is a difference. And once we realize that difference, it just frames everything differently. Yes. It frames everything in such a different manner.
And remove the word problem. You have an issue.
Eckhart Tolle said it best, because you don't have, you create your problems.
So this,
you have issues, you don't have problems.
For me, for my personal, if everybody's following my personal. So that's my next, not hurdle, but my next achievement is I want to clean up that. Why? Because I'm a guy.
You want to clean up what?
I use the word problem. I use the word.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, unfortunately, it's a word, but
I know what I'm doing. In other words, I'm not doing it because the word problem is a bad word. No. I just explained to you that if you can curate your subconscious, it becomes your conscious, and your body acts accordingly. So if I can choose this, if I can do this, if I can program myself, I believe that all negative language should be curtailed. And I use the word should.
So yeah, not must, should, have to.
Sparingly.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is,
unfortunately, there are times when for language and communication purposes, the word needs to be.
We're not angels,
Yeah, no. Because I told you in the beginning when I first started doing this, I would stop mid sentence, not to use a word, and I'd be like, "No, you have an issue you're dealing with." Right. And I'd be like, "Well, you really." I don't even say you really should.
And you get caught up.
You know what? It wouldn't be a bad idea if you could always look into. I would stop and not want to use those words. Then I started realizing, time out. I said, all right, I'm going to drive myself batty if I do that all the time. While I've stopped using those words, and I'd say it's probably, if I use the word 20 times a day, now I'm maybe using it 5 times a day. I've tried to get a lot better with it, but it's for me, when I use a word now, it's not just the word I'm using, but how it affects what follows it. Am I believing that word to be this is what it is, or is it just a word I'm putting into for the purpose of language and communicating?
No, for my purposes, it's this.
If you frame it that way, that's what it becomes. And
no, for my purposes, it's what did Dr. Joe Dispenza say your personality is?
Your personal reality.
Okay. Yeah. So if my personality dictates the mood, my relations with people, my interactions, because your mood, your personality really dictates how your day is going to go. If you're not feeling it,
Yes,
and you walk into the wrong person.
I get you, but this is where I'm going to drop a little Eckhart Tolle. It's like the battle of Eckhart Tolle. It's no. Me and you. Now
I will take your Eckhart Tolle, and I will give you.
So I love. Like I said, and I've said this before. I think Dr. Joe Dispenza is great. I think what he talks about is phenomenal. I think I love how he's bridged the world of genetics and the world of mindfulness together, right? The same way, Dr. Russ Harris explains mindfulness and like acceptance commitment therapy. Like they're guys who just know how to mesh things together. But so you were saying that like your mood, you're this, you're that, and I always go back to, for me, and I this is why when I default to this, and it just for me it just works immensely. I just default to I release all attachment completely. So if I'm in a bad mood, I don't try to reprogram myself. I release, and and this is again. This is because I'm kind of more of a student of an Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
I release completely.
That could work.
I allow and accept that it's there, but I don't attach to it. I don't try to push it away. I don't try to reprogram it. I don't try to say, but I live. So this is where they maybe are the same exact thing, but that approach resonates with you. I apply my values and I live by my values. So if my values are not to be a dick to people, let's just say, right? I'm in a bad mood or whatever. My body physically, chemically,
maybe
today
you didn't
is
sleep well enough.
Whatever. I'm flat today, right? Environmental issues, whatever. Just your chemistry in your body is off that day. It's going to happen to everybody. I don't care how much you meditate. It's going to happen to everybody because we're human beings. We're not machines. I don't attach to that. And I say to in the beginning, I would say to myself, now it's just kind of automatic. I live by my values. If I was feeling a happy, quotes, if anybody's seen, and then we should really wrap it up. If I was feeling happy today, would I do this? Would I live my life this way? Would I interact with this person this way? The answer would be yes. So then I'm not going to do it because today my mind is not in the mood. So maybe I'm reprogramming myself the same way, but just using different words. That's why I always say, which one resonates with you?
Yeah,
so
we might be doing the same thing.
Dr. Joe definitely resonates with you and Bob Proctor, and they resonate with me on a certain level. But I get to the point where I go, I don't personally try to physically or intentionally reprogram myself. I apply acceptance. I apply just a release of when my mind wants to be a bratty child, to use it, I release completely on it. And for me, that release, I let go and I say, and then I'm able to have a higher intelligence come in and say, how would I want to live my life today if my mind wasn't, if I didn't feel a 3, if I didn't have these intrusive thoughts, if whatever it was. And I choose to live my life that way. It is, look, you know what? I'm not even going to say probably it is because you create new neural pathways when you do that, like from a mental health aspect, you do create new neural pathways. You actually train your mind to say, we don't follow that route. We're going to go this way, but we don't force it by saying, and this is maybe for people who maybe deal with anxiety more. We don't force it by saying, okay, I'm going to reprogram myself. I'm going to do it this way. We just kind of go, there's an acceptance of what is. And that's more of an Eckhart Tolle approach when I say there's an acceptance of what is. That's more of a spiritual, I say Eckhart Tolle, spiritual approach. It's very, Eastern, spiritual, meditative, Zen Buddhist. There's an acceptance and a release. And for me, with the beauty I love about it, it happens like that.
Okay. I can explain this. That is at the base of it.
Yes.
That's at the base of it. Yes. It's almost like once.
By the way, this is the first time we've actually, I'm noticing that we're talking about the same exact. Wow, we talk about the same thing, but I'm on the right track. You're on the left track right now.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
I love it.
I love it. Yeah.
What I'm going to tell you is, let the pot boil, and you'll see what's left is that. Okay.
But I like that. I like that one.
I'm telling you that I view it as a buffet, and I can go take from this dish.
Sure, you could use it. You could use any one, whichever one works best.
But I know what's at the bottom of this pot. You follow me? I know what's at the bottom of it, but I want to, I like to jazz it up a little bit. You I'm not just going to sit there and go, well, that's where it is. No, I like that. That's at the bottom of it all.
Yeah.
But I would like.
Man, the more you say it, and I think we're going to break a record today, but who cares? The more you say it, the more I'm noticing how there are these major similarities throughout them all. But at the end of the day, I really, really think it, like you said, what's at the bottom of the pot. It's not even we know. It's all the same exact thing.
Yes.
You use the word affirmations, right? That's something that resonates with you. Yeah. And I know, and it's Dr. Joe, and I think that's great. I've even tried to do it, right? Just because why not try to experience it, right?
Go to the buffet, grab
it, and I've tried to do it. I create an affirmation. I would meditate on it in the morning. Okay, that's great. for me, what resonates immensely is more, and it's the same exact thing. This is what I love about this right now. So I will say, the universe. I allow the universe to, not do with me what it will, but I put it into the universe, and I say
it starts moving you.
Yes, and I say the universe will tell me what I need to know when I need to know it. So if I want something in my life, I don't necessarily sit there and I won't sit there maybe do an affirmation of it, but I put it out there. So I don't meditate on it like Dr. Joe. But for certain people, the way you're built, that works, and that's that same connection. The same way you're connecting to the same thing, because he'll say it's about putting it out into the universe, and I'll just kind of, this is what I like. I love to help people. I love to do this. I love to do that. And I say the universe is going to give me the opportunities for that to happen, but I need to be aware, and I need to be conscious, and I need to, if I don't have that awareness, I won't notice when those opportunities arise.
Yes.
Right? So it's just cool how, like,
I tell you,
the more we break it down even more, they're just using different words, but it works.
But at the end of it all, like if you take Joe Dispenza, Bob Proctor, John Assaraf, there's this other guy called he's a super on the circuit of self-development, Brian Tracy, I think his name is. Yes, Brian Tracy. So he works with a lot of business guys.
Yeah.
You boil that all down, it's the same thing, because without it, there is no other things. It's without that awareness, there are no other things. You need to have that awareness, that mindfulness. Once you got that, everything can branch off. For example, the affirmation. You want to do better in business? Okay, that's what you're thinking about. But that's not what you're, I want to do it. No, you're a complete person. Your gratitude. So gratitude leads to awareness. You did it from the left hand, not the right hand.
Yeah, no, yeah.
All that is what it boils down to. It's just that you have let's say, I'm not going to use the word pure, but it's a more pure version of, like you're going to allow the universe to basically move your pieces. I'm here, and I'm definitely in tune. I'm looking at it more like, let's have fun with this. I am in tune, but let's have fun with this. Let's, according to that buffet.
Oh no, I know. I agree 100% there. Yeah, sure.
So like when you gave the affirmations a try, good for you. You did it, and maybe you liked them, maybe you didn't. But we're still in the same.
Yeah, no, and I love the buffet example that you get. The buffet example is a good one, because I truly believe that most of these, all these different teachers or instructors or doctors or motivational speakers, whoever they are, all these, I think they're all just like you said before. It's on the same table, just different plates.
Yeah,
but the table doesn't change.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah,
this is at the heart of Tony Robbins.
What is
mindfulness?
Mindfulness. Oh yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, and he's a motivational speaker.
But you know what makes him successful is, again, he has that extra gear that otherwise he wouldn't. So he's very smart. He's got this as a base.
He also has a talent to speak,
and he also has persuasion. So he knows how to speak. So he knows how to deliver.
Yeah, and that's not a talent that everybody has.
No, you need to pick that up.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm not. Look, I've said this. I don't know if I'd ever be able to be that kind. To be like a motivational speaker. That's not, because I don't go that extra gear that way. My extra gear is I teach you how to. I'll sit and teach people how to watch and how to find peace as quickly as possible, like how to anchor down, and then from there you make your next move. One way is not better than the other. I just think it's which way is going to, and that's where, ready? So we'll tie it all together, and then we really should end. This is where wisdom kind of comes into play. So if I'm going to be working with a client, I need to read that person, have a little bit of, not just giving you my knowledge, but okay, be able to, from a different level, different perspective, see what that person is, see how they act, how they work, how their mind works a little bit. And then from there, maybe maybe you could guide that person or help guide them to an area that's going to be beneficial for them, right? There'll be people who a spiritual approach is just going to resonate immensely with them. Like for me, a spiritual approach is lockdown, boom. Life is simple. Life is just simple. Quiet, no mind, simple. That's it. But that works for me because that's how I train myself. The other person might be like, I'm going to reprogram myself by actually doing things, right? Affirmations, meditating on this, meditating. And that's great, phenomenal. If that works for that person, you kind of guide them that way. That's why having the ability, knowing all these things instead of being a one-trick pony, I think is great because having all this information gives you more, but be wary of don't stuff your face at the table too much either, because overindulgence of too much keeps you in the knowledge phase and you lose the whole wisdom being phase. So like if I try to do, I'm going to try to do a little bit of what Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, but I'm still going to be like Eckhart Tolle. And then I'm going to remember what Alex Mills taught me about the voices in my head, about voices and this and that. And remember Bob Proctor. Okay, I can remember Bob Proctor. Tony Robbins is pretty cool too. Now you've become a hot mess of information and you've lost awareness completely. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Find one that resonates with you. And you could take and choose here and there, but there's always going to be one. This is where I think I'd be hard pressed to think that it's more than one. There's always one avenue that works best for a person. For you, it might be maybe more of that tactical approach, which is like Dr. Joe, have the affirmation, have this, or Bob Proctor approach, right? Where for another person, it might be more of a watch, my hands are up in the air. I accept what I have. I accept the world. I accept this is happening to me and I let it go. And then I say, we'll say words like the universe, right? Or God, whatever works for somebody, will let us know one way or the other, or opportunities will arise. Or, if I'm not feeling well, I've had things happen to me where I said I stopped fighting it. And when I stop fighting it and I accept that it's there and I make peace with it immediately, my body starts to heal quicker on things. This isn't like, when we go somewhere, but like my neck healed, this healed. Like things, I don't harp on them. So they tend to maybe pass a little quicker because I allow my body to heal. But that could be the same thing like what Dr. Joe says when you have your affirmations and you meditate on them and your mind and your body starts reacting differently to your mind, right? So it's, find the one that works. Find the one that works.
Yeah, and that's it. Just find the one that works. Try it out, and you will see an improvement in yourself, and you will see an improvement with things you do, people you relate with, and you'll see. I mean, that quote from Einstein came from Bob Proctor because he talks about getting on the frequency, and he says, "Here's Einstein telling you to get on the frequency with what you want." And, at the end of the day, you have to be adult enough to realize that Bob Proctor has a business to run.
They all do. From E to ET, from Eckhart Tolle to...
But is it useful?
Sure.
And if it was useful, good.
That's great.
Same thing with Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins.
I'm sure there's people who think he's he's just for the money.
No, he's great.
He's really great. Good. But and the more I've watched him, he is great. Like there's a show to it. I get it, right? And that's fine. It's fine and dandy. But like his message is great. Like his message is
even
good.
Eckhart Tolle.
But Eckhart, he's got
he's a commercial being.
He's everywhere. I mean, the people don't know him. He doesn't have the notoriety of the Tony Robbins. Just because he's a more unsexy, right. His approach is very like mine. So if you sit with me and we talk long enough, you see the beauty in it.
No bells and whistles.
No bells and whistles. But like, a guy like Tony Robbins or these other people.
Full bells and whistles.
It's like, it's like
Hollywood production.
Come out, he has the hat on, you up on the stage. And
he's
great.
He's 6'8".
He's 6'8". He's a beast of him.
And he's got that voice.
And Eckhart Tolle's the complete opposite. He's like 5'5", 5'6". I'm sure of a little old man who speaks like this. Very quiet. And he has this little bell that he rings. So but at the end of the day, it's the same exact thing. Anyway. So we have broken all sorts of records today.
I grew facial hair throughout the year.
I know. So we started out on wisdom and knowledge, but we ended up here. But hopefully everybody enjoyed today's episode and you got something out of it. But again, these are great points that do come up, right? It's not about it's not about just the way I approached it or the way he approaches. There's different avenues to take, but we always say each hallway leads to the same door at the end. They all lead to the same door. So,
and I think our studio audience really enjoyed the episode today.
Yeah, they did,
guys. Yeah, you don't think?
Sorry about that.
All right, hey, all right, fine. Laugh at me.
All right. Okay, so I think we're done. We're at an hour and 20 minutes. I think we are done.
We're good.
Okay. All right, guys. So thanks for tuning in again. Hopefully you found it beneficial. If
you're on your own.
If you made it through all hour and 20 minutes, Henry will give you $20. If you
come see me, just message me. I got you.
But or else let's do we'll do our quick meditation at the end just to center ourselves back and find a little bit of presence. So if everybody would please close their eyes, if you're sitting, if you're walking, as long as you're not driving, we're not responsible for that. As long as you're not driving, just find a comfortable position or whatever works best for you in this moment. Let's take a few deep breaths and just focus on our breathing, on our inhale and on our exhale. I usually like to do that 3 to 4 second hold in between so we can breathe in, a 3-second inhale, hold for 3 seconds, exhale. Just keep our focus on our breath. The beauty of this is it's a good exercise in pointing your focus where you want it to be. You're focusing on your breath. You're actually going into your body. You're connecting with your body a little bit more and disconnecting from your mind. So as we focus on that breath, we're taking the focus away from the thoughts in our head. We're not pushing them away. We're just shifting our focus to where we want it to be. And in that breath, you could feel a little bit of presence, a little bit of serenity and peace behind it also. You just keep focusing on that as you breathe in, hold, and exhale. It will be hard to have a thought and focus on your breath at the same time. If your mind pulls you away, that's fine. Just shift back. And if you have to shift back 10 times, 20 times, it's beautiful. Shift back. That shift is a control that you actually have. That's the awareness. That's where you get to use that lens, that wisdom. Let's take a couple of more. Last one. And slowly open your eyes. Stay here if you'd like, or else we will catch you guys next time. Peace out.
See you guys.
Take care. The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.